my goal is to have people see these beautiful states as high vibrations that they can experience and even lock into, so that when a low vibration comes along, well, this high vibration is not going to move because it is rock solid. And so what happens when a low vibration comes near a high vibration? Well, it moves up. Maybe it doesn't move up all the way, but it moves up some, so that if, say, there was like a pain and it was like a 7 or an 8, well, if you have this high vibration of love and happiness and joy, or Reiki or prayer, or insert your high vibration word here, when the pain comes through and it's at this, really low 7 or 8, well, it has no choice but to come up. And so maybe it's a 5 or a 4 or a 3 or 2, or I don't even feel it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And
That's what I love about what can happen, because I've seen it happen. I've done it for myself, right? I've facilitated it for others, but I've done it for myself countless times. Almost every morning. I don't know if it's moving up here to Buffalo. I'm still getting used to all of the things that are blooming up here that are different from Arkansas, but like my eyes are like burning or and dried out every morning. And so I'm just covering them up, doing Reiki on my eyes first thing in the morning. And it's a really great practice because it's not just going for my eyes, it's going for my whole body. But there's that shift, and then, then I can open my eyes and they're, lubricated, and I'm feeling better. And I go out on my day and I've had this little moment for myself. So
amazing. And it's changed the perception, right? When you choose to see the positive. So for me, I had a very important presentation yesterday morning, and I was stressed out. I was stressed out for a couple of weeks, and it happened. And I used my law of attraction. It went very well. The rest of my day was horrible. I forget my keys. I arrived late to pick up my kids, but I was like, it's okay, my presentation went well. And another day where I will have back to back, so it's just a question of perception. Sometimes we feel like, oh, here we go again. So if we're able to connect, as you say, to this high vibration, maybe our perception of the same day will be completely different.
yeah. That's funny because that reminds me of when I was in my late 20s. I had this idea of, like, I felt this calling to be more spiritual. I didn't know exactly what that meant. I thought it meant going to like yoga retreats and reading spiritual books and having discussions with people. And I put it out there to whoever, to whatever, to the universe. And I said, in my 30s, so obviously I didn't feel like I was ready now. And when I think, mid late 20s, but I said, in my 30s, I want to be more spiritual. That was all I said. That was heard, but how that came about was a divorce. Finding myself through that, then finding a new partner that brought in a whole lot of amazing spiritual things to me. But then through that, there was another divorce because there was this whole different escape from reality and all these other things that like I witnessed and went through. But through that whole process, which was my 30s and then into some of my early 40s, it was like I was catapulted forward in my spirituality and my knowledge about how I work, how my understanding of mental diseases, of so many things. And I learned mostly so much about myself. And I remember looking back and going, when I ask for something like that, I need to be a little more specific. And you talking about the specificity of your presentation, and that was great. But then the rest of the day was just like shit.
So true.
Like so if we say I want, like my whole day to be aligned with the highest good, and I want to have fun and I want to learn, in every then maybe that'll be a little bit more smooth.
It's a good advice, putting more attention, right? And we
Which
gotta be specific because law attraction is pretty amazing when you give it a try.
yeah, I
Mm.
remember specifically I got out of my day job, which was photographer, videographer, like producer of commercials or online videos and stuff for a website digital agency. And I felt this calling of like, I wanted to work more one-on-one with people. And I'd already started my journey into Reiki, and I was loving it so much. And I was like, how can I do more Reiki with people? And someone said, what if you learn to be a massage therapist? I'm like, yeah, that sounds really cool, because it's something I've kind of been doing since I was a teenager, working on people with energy and body work. And so I had this new idea of like, well, Reiki flows through me, so I will never be depleted of energy, because that was a thing from my past. And so I was really excited about it. And when I finished massage therapy, and I was telling my boss at my job, because I was doing class at night to go through school, I said, I want to start using some of my annual leave on Fridays, because I've got a number of days, and I just want to, so I can just have an extra day that's during the week to start seeing clients, so it's not just a weekend thing. And they knew what I was doing, and I got a response via a text message. Well, unfortunately, we won't be able to pay you past the end of the month. Meaning that I was being fired for my job of 14 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
But I saw it for what it was. I asked to start seeing more clients. My intention was to move out of the office and work one-on-one with people. And so that's what was being offered to me. I'm like, okay. So I started doing that, but then after a while I was like, whoa, I'm not making enough money.
We got to live in this world.
Right. We still have to live in this world. So I was reminded about the law of attraction. And so I just said specifically, I need, not want, but like to pay for a mortgage, to pay for food, to pay for the bills, to pay for all the things that I need to pay for my family in this new house that I just gotten while I had my salary, and now I don't have a salary. I need $4,000 a month. It's not a big ask, but that's what I needed. And almost immediately, like within a day, boop, 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 I had 3 new clients.
That's amazing.
And then some of those clients became repeats. And then one of them told someone else, and I got another client from them. And within that month, I was getting the exact amount that I needed. And then the next month it was a little bit higher, but then the next month it was a little bit lower. But if you looked at the bank account, it was like 4,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. I'm like, okay.
Powerful.
Yeah. And I know in school there was a lot of talk about like body syndromes and where we hold stuff in our body. And for me, I'd already kind of was working with people that way. And my own personal story was I'd had a lot of low back pain from the time I was in college. I didn't find out till 25 years later that I actually had broken my back. and they just
Oh my
couldn't see
God.
it on the X-ray because it was like a hairline and everything looked fine. But over the years, it's like, no, it actually broke. And so I always had this like low back pain, and I started looking into it. Like, what does it mean? What does low back pain mean? It's like, well, I don't feel supported. In whatever sense, that can be financially, it can be emotionally. I don't feel this support because it's like really low at the base of my spine kind of area. So there was a lot of then shifting to feeling into being supported, asking for this money because there was this lack of having it, and then believing in it, right? Believing in that future, like feeling into that future, which is exactly what we do now, right? We're like telling people to, say it, see it, feel it, right? And if you're doing those three things, when you're in that nice, relaxed state, then guess what happens? It's like magic.
Happen, and it can happen for pretty much everything. As you said, as soon as you put your intention, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I just turned 40 years old. And now when I came to HMI, is because I love the fact I'm very scientific, and I love the fact that, it's a very scientific based method. But when I came, it's very spiritual as well. For me, my mean brain call it a little bit of woo-woo-ness. So at the beginning, when they start introduce us to past life regression, I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I'm looking at my daughter, and she's 2 years old, and she has this fear of cow that I cannot have a book with a cow. She cannot hear the cow. So I was like, oh my God, whenever you're 16 years old, I'm doing a past life regression, and we're going to through this life when you got bitten by a cow, but I want to understand where this fear is coming from. So I think the more I grow old, the more I embrace my spirituality. And when you bring it, especially, with a more scientific mind, whenever you start doing hypnotherapy, you see that there is something you cannot explain. You see that there is some, feeling, and I'm not as advanced as you are in my spirituality awakening, but I'm just starting to, as my mean brain say, embrace this woo-ness. And I feel that I'm being a better therapist when I do that. And I'm being a better colleague at work. So embracing my woo-ness is what I want to start to, develop, and stop talking about woo-ness, finding a better word. But this is where I'm heading now. And I'm so excited to see how I discover, the energy works that come in hypnosis. At the beginning, when I was doing it, I was like, oh, why do I want to cry right now? I had a very good day, realizing I was connecting to the emotional of the person that I was working with. Right. But as you start, as you don't have, I don't have your Reiki experience prior to going into hypnosis, you start understanding that there is something way beyond what we can explain with science. And that's so exciting. And it's really something that I look forward to understand and develop and get to learn. So that's my excitement for the couple of months. So do you know the joke of the psychiatrist with his 3 patients?
No.
So he is trying to figure out if these 3 patients are ready to leave the facility and go back to the world.
Okay.
So what they do to do this assessment is they introduce the first patient to a rabbit. So this person starts petting the rabbit, and all of a sudden it grab its ears and it starts doing like meh, 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 like, like a bike, right? So he's like, you're not ready. Then he moved to the second patient, and second patient like start petting the rabbit and grab the ear and meh, meh, meh. So like, you're still not ready. The third patient come and grabs the rabbit and start petting it and, playing with it. So the psychiatrists get very excited. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I think you are very ready. The two other patients thought it was a motorbike. So like, are you kidding? Are you saying the left? Don't describe it. So bad. So I love it.
That's good.
That was the first time that I didn't say it in French, so I had to come up with a vocabulary.
Oh, okay.
It's a French joke, and it's so not appropriate, especially in the field of therapy and psychiatry. So a lot of them are really French and were so inappropriate.
Is that a theme? Like, are French jokes just more inappropriate, or
they are 100%.
they're like right on the edge of being sexual innuendo, that kind of realm of jokes?
Yeah, there is no limit, and people don't get hurt, and you cannot be sued. So, I mean, it was back in time. Now there is social media, so people from America can hear the joke. And so, but yeah, in France, it's more, you can joke about everything. You my sister age. Are you 1970?
76.
1976, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're my oldest. The sister who, start doing the shoes, same generation than you.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Just like doing whatever to make them laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember. Now I don't remember the sadness and my mother cry. I remember the big shoes and her dance. So she did a pretty good job.
Well, and see, that's because you have an emotion that locked in that memory.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was a bigger emotion that lasted versus that fear and that scared part of, like, why these are the grown-ups that are supposed to have their shit together and they're crying, and it's like, what's going on? Why are we, like, should I be feeling this sad? And instead it becomes more of scared because you don't know why they're doing it, right?
Exactly. And scared because you're not supposed to laugh. And it's even more funny when you are not supposed to laugh.
Right. I know for a lot of, like, the work that I'm doing with people, and when I'm trying to describe how the subconscious mind works and how to really make something new stick in the subconscious mind, is it has to be tied to emotion for it to really stick. And one of the examples I give is, like, do you remember what you ate for dinner 2 years ago on a Tuesday?
Nope.
You could maybe guess, right? But you don't know. But if I said something like, do you remember the first thing you ate after your first child was born? I bet you could tell me.
Yes, that's pretty amazing. You're absolutely right.
Right? Because that day was so full of all of that emotion, and you probably were so excited to have whatever that first food was.
Yeah.
What'd you have? Sushi. Perfect. It's exactly what you should have. Sushi and maybe a milkshake or something.
Anything you cannot have, right?
Right. The thing, right. Exactly. You can't have sushi because it's the raw fish. Well, I guess what? That baby's out. I'm having sushi. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's locked in there. Mm-hmm. It's locked in there. Everything else, it's deleted, right? Because we don't need to remember that. But because it was so concentrated with that emotion of that significant event in that day, and the excitement of, I've been wanting to have this for 9 months or whatever, and now I get to, so yummy. Then there's that deep connection, and now, boom, you're never going to forget that. It's locked into that subconscious. And so that's what I try and tell people. That's why we're saying it, we're seeing it, and then feeling it, so that we can really connect with that thing. And then whatever else was going on, it just kind of gets put off in the distance. Like, you can still see it. Just like you can still talk about, that you felt scared, that you felt the pressure of being sad, and that pressure of, don't joke around. This is serious, right? Whatever that means to an 8-year-old, right?
No, completely.
And then, but that's not something, like, you're not feeling that now. Like, when you think about it, you don't feel that. you feel about the stuff that happened after it because that's what you locked
To
in.
cover. To
Right.
cover. Yeah, that was a
Great.
great.
Now I get to use your story when I'm talking to other people. It's going to be great because it's a
You
perfect,
like this? You like this story?
yeah, it's a real life story and it's a perfect story that's even better than what people ate when their child was born.
But you always, I don't know, you had that thing that you are, I will have the notion and you will add words that making it grab it. I never quite understood, as we were through the curriculum of HMI, the importance of the emotion. So of course we use it. But with this story and with linking to the emotion, all of a sudden the explanation you just gave, another bubble in my head. So that's why you have a way of reframing that is really, even I can understand it. So thank you for that. That's why I'm going to miss you. Like the next 4 class are going to be so boring without you. What a pleasure, Jason. You have highlighted my day today.
Yay. Same so far. Let's see what the rest of the day holds.
No, we are going to put a good attraction.
Yeah.
Everything is going to
No,
be
I
amazing.
mean, there could be even better things to come.
See my brain, like, yeah. Send me the link to the live, please. Yeah, it
Yes.
will get
Okay.
better
I'll
and
send
better.
it to you. I think it's on YouTube Live.